all laugh. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of True Confessions of a Car Guy. It's me, Badgie, live in studio. With me today is our host, John Gavin. And we have a very, very special guest with us today to talk about the wholesale game, Anthony Palermo. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Hey, Tone. How are you, brother?
I'm good. How are you, sir?
Oh, my God. Every day's a holiday for me. Today I had my 4-year-old grandson's birthday party to go to. So my grandkids are 4, 3.5, 3, 2.5, 1.
Oh,
So
my
they're
God.
all 6 months apart. Yeah.
God bless. Good for you, man. Happy to hear that.
Fun. Yeah, my dad said it best probably. If he would have known grandkids were this much fun, he would have had them first.
Ain't that the truth? Like, you know what I tell people?
Yeah.
I told my sons one day, I have two. I have a 37 and a 40, as you know, Johnny.
Right.
I says, you know what? I love my grandkids more than I love you guys. They said, really, Dad? How could you think that? I says, real simple. I says, they don't judge me. You guys judge me. And they tell me they love me. They mean it. Because
they mean it.
They're too young to know different.
Yeah, they mean it. So for everybody listening, so Tony is like a brother to me. I've known Tony going on now, I think, let's see, started at Wick, so it's about 35 years. 30. When did you get out the first time out?
Was it were you at?
I met you at Nationwide's parking lot. You remember that? You pulled up in the red Corvette.
Oh,
that was the first time I met you.
Didn't you work at Twin Buick though too?
For 3 months though, and we talked on the phone because you were always buying cars, but I never met you in person until the day you pulled up in the vet. So
it's got to be at least 30, between 32 to 36 years, I would guess. Somewhere around.
Yeah. So first time I meet Tony is he pulls up in a Corvette, and I'm working for Wick's Auto, and that was back in the day. That was the place where if you had rough credit, you went to Wick's and you guaranteed a car. You got a 3G car for $13,000 and you paid 47% interest.
I thought it was 48.
And liked it. Yeah, and liked it 49.
Like
they didn't have any rules. There was no law in Illinois. So really I know I talked to you many times because Tony could get any car you needed. You needed a car, get you a car, but you weren't really a wholesaler because you made a lot of money for a guy who wasn't really in the car business. Because you were at that time, I don't remember what you exactly where you just got out of trouble, right? You just got out of trouble.
I got indicted in April 17th, 1992. I went away in 95 for just under a year for something so stupid. It was my fault. I should have known better. But at the end of the day, I did my time like a man. It cost me my relationship. It cost me everything I ever earned, But then I came back, and I came back even stronger.
Yeah. How many times did you go away?
3.
Oh, 3.
Well, on 2 different situations, but because I violated with my bad temper. Somebody spit on me. I hit him. I put him in intensive care. But
we've had our fair of scuffles. I'll call them scuffles. Yeah. We've had our fair share. But so the first one is when I met you right before you went away. So it had to be like 1990.
Well, that's what it was. We're talking how many years?
Yeah, because you were going, so we're talking, 30
40 years. For
40 years, 40, no.
Well, so it was, let's call it 1990, and we're
so it's 34 years, 35 years. It's 35 years, So that's what I figured, because I think it was 1990. I just had my first kid. I only had Ryan at the time. So
Ryan's how old now? How's Ryan?
30. He's born in 91 or 89. 89.
Yeah, because Michael's born in 88, and he wrestling, and then Anthony was born in 85.
Yeah, and Lexi was born in 91. So it's right around it's 1990.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, I do remember. you were living north in your.
I was on Monitor. I was on northwest side of Chicago.
Yes.
Northwest side of Chicago. Because I was like 10 minutes from Wicks, which was at Cicero and was that Irving, Addison, Diversity.
Addison.
Yeah, Addison. So, yeah. But anyhow, so I meet Tony, and he pulled, first time I meet him, and we just hit it off, man. We've just been friends ever since. I think it's because neither one of us bullshit anybody. We just say
tell it like it is. We tell it like it is.
Yeah, when it is, it is what it is. I mean, I can't say how many times I've said he's a cousin to me. I can't say how many times. I mean, it's probably.
How about when I went away? You were there for my kids, man. And here. I know nothing about. I was a street fighter. I could have boxed, this, that, whatever. But there's, my mother was totally against it. I don't want my son talking like this. And make a long story short, Johnny was a wrestler, and my oldest, both of them wrestled and played football and basketball. They were athletes. And I know nothing about the sport wrestling, but I know it was a form of fighting, and I got in trouble my whole life for fighting. So the last thing I wanted my son Michael, my youngest, is to wrestle. I beat up the toughest wrestler in Glenbard North when I was a kid at my weight. Okay, so make a long story short, I'm going away. This was my second incident. And I called John and go, John, you got to help me. I know nothing about this wrestling. I go, and I know you were a wrestler. And he picked up where I should have as a father, but don't you remember talking to those guys for my son?
Oh, yeah, of course I do. He was wrestling at Ridgewood.
Two guys wanted, they thought my son was like,
he was really good.
Really good. I know nothing really about
good. He was top of state. He was good. He was really good. I don't know what his record was.
He had a good record, but he started young.
He started 10 losses in 4 years.
Johnny, he started in freshman year because his older brother said to him, which is my other son, said, "Listen, you need to wrestle. You're good. Blah blah blah." And I was a stubborn prick. I told my son, I says, I don't want you to wrestle. It's a form of fighting. I don't want my kids to go through what I went through because fighting did nothing but get me in trouble, cost me money, and heartache to my parents. Okay, so I didn't want them to do the same thing to me. That my mother used to say to me, Anthony, I don't wish you no bad. I just wish you one kid like yourself. And I said, why would you do that? Why would you do that to me? I wasn't really bad. I never did drugs or anything like that. I was just
I wasn't a bad kid either. I wasn't a bad kid.
I just, as far as I'm concerned, I don't think I was a bad kid. But I was a tough kid. And at the end of the day, when you're raising your kids, you just don't want them to make the mistakes you made growing up.
Yeah, absolutely.
At least I did. I don't know, but I can't speak for other parents.
Yeah, no. You always want your kids to do better and be better. You'll do anything for your kids. That's just the way.
Right.
That's
I see some on
that way. So
I see some on Instagram. It was. How did the guy say it? He said something like what he would do for his kids, and his kids need to know that in some manner. He said somehow, I wish I had the quote, but it's a good one, and it made sense, about how a father would rather, he's the only person that would want you to succeed more than yourself. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Something to that effect.
Yeah, and I love to see it. I hope my son does, and my daughter, they both do 10 times more than I ever did. I always wish that for them. But so talking about the car business, so we met 35 years ago, and you were in the wholesale business. And tell us a little bit. First of all, how'd you get into the wholesale business?
Well, I had a passion for the car business because my dad used to sit me on his lap as a little boy and say, what year is that car? What kind of car is that? What is that? And back then it was Chevy, Oldsmobile, Buick, what else?
Pontiac,
Buick,
Pontiac,
Dodge.
Yep.
and that
Yeah,
was
they
it.
didn't have CDJR back then. They just
Yeah,
had
and there
Dodge.
wasn't so many different models and makes and this, that,
Right.
whatever. So as a little mind that I have, I could remember, and because I had a passion for it, I loved cars as a kid, you know, cars and fighting and other things. But well, anyways, so my how I started messing with cars before I had my driver's license, I bought two cars, and I want to say I paid $125 for it, and the other one I paid like $200. So that was $325. I had to put a starter in one, and Bob Gatto, what a great guy. He lived down the block from me. We live in an unincorporated Lombard. They own Gatto Zinc Plating, the family. And Bob was a great guy. He loved my kid brother, which was 7 years younger than me. And down the block, we live in an unincorporated area. When it dead ended, you know, your Swift Road and 355, which I don't know if you remember that area.
Yeah, yeah.
So, okay, it dead ended, and he had a pole barn in his backyard, and he worked on semis. So he said, and his house was in the front, and he had a garage connected to the house. It was freezing, Johnny. I had to put a starter in the car, and I made every excuse. Oh, I can't do it. I can't do it. My hands were freezing. I'm underneath the car putting the start. And he wouldn't help me. He told me what to do, but he wouldn't help me. You know, he's a typical, like a father, you know, you got to learn, you know. I froze. I finally got the son of a bitch in, and I got it in, started on the flywheel, you know, hooked it up, you know, zapped myself, you know, whatever. I get it all done. I cleaned the car up myself. I put it on Swift in Sydney, which is 3 blocks north of North Avenue. I put it right on the corner. I sold the car. I had 100 cost me like $25 for the starter. So I had 150, and I sold the car for 800. That's how it started. And then the other car, I just cleaned it up and sold it and made like $200 or $300 on it. Okay, but that was my first like encounter.
Introduction into making money wholesale.
But no, so that's how I thought, well, oh, that was cool. Could I do it again? I don't know if I could do it again. Well, my mom's kid brother, the youngest had 7 kids, opens up a car lot from his ex-brother-in-law, which was my ex-uncle, you know. He takes over 801 West North Avenue on North and just like a half a mile from Addison Road, which is Villa Park. Okay. So when he was in the midst of opening up this lot, he really didn't have the money to do it. So I'm so interested in it, and I was married at the time, and I think, let's see, my son Anthony was born. Michael wasn't yet. Okay. This is 85. Now I start, you know, mind you, I sold cars in between from that incident. That was in 76 when I just told you prior to that. So from 76 to 85, when this incident comes up with my uncle, I sold a bunch of cars. I wholesaled cars, you know. I was dabbling in it, but I didn't sell nothing compared to as later on in my life what took place. Okay, so now Sonny Caruso, which his name was Ralph Caruso, but his nickname was Sonny.
I love Sonny, by the way. I love Sonny.
Yeah. So, well, I'll tell you more about that. But anyways, down the road, you know, he becomes he becomes a dealer. You know, he opens up a used car lot. Well, he was my favorite uncle growing up. My mom's had 7 brothers and sisters. Okay. There was 4 girls and 3 boys. And he was the youngest one. He was my cool uncle growing up. So when he takes over this little, it was a beef stand at the time. It was on the south side of North Avenue, facing a McDonald's and a suburban bank of some sort. So he does this whole deal with his ex-brother-in-law, which was my mom's ex-brother-in-law too. And he did it on a shoestring. Broke, but he did it. Somehow he made it happen. And it had a billboard sign on the property. So down the road, I I'm so interested in the car business, and I just follow him. And I was hustling something else back in the day, and I made some money, some cash. Okay, so he can't put no cars on the car lot because he don't have no. He did the deal, but he had no money and he liked to gamble. He'd go to Hollywood Casino and Empress back in the time. So if he did make money, he pissed it away at the casino. So one day, I says, we're driving around. We go up north to Libertyville. Now I was friends with the Mazzarellis.
Right.
I put the first 5 cars on his lot. Okay. Then he borrowed some money from. Do you remember? What was his name? Mike. He's older than us, way older than us. I mean, if he's still alive, he'd be in his 80s, I would think. I can't think of it. I'm just drawing a blank. I'll think of it as time goes by. But anyways, Mike had a lot of money. Mike, he borrowed 25 or 50 from him. And then he started putting some cars on the lot. And he was going to the auction, floating the auction. But now he's getting a little bit of a business going. But he kept going to the casino. And whatever profit it was, he'd burn it up, So I had liquid cash, So I would buy some cars. So the deal was.
That's why you went away for 3 years.
Yeah. Which time? No, that first time was only December. The second time was, So
second time was that, okay.
Yeah. So now as we're rolling, we're making some money together, and there was always a discrepancy. He would fuck with me. I own the joint, and you want half of the profit. I said, no, I want half of the profit minus the cost of doing business, half of the profit per car. I go, why should I? I'm stocking your lot. I got the outlets to get the cars. Why shouldn't I? I'm entitled.
How did you get the outlets to get the cars besides your friends? I mean, how would you get into a dealer if you didn't? Did you only deal with people you knew, or did you get into a dealer?
Networking, mostly the people I knew, but then they would tell me, go see. I'd meet a guy at a dealership. Go see this guy. He's got some cars. Go see that guy. And then I built a relationship because I was a man of my word. My checks cash. You know they hate wholesalers because they all think they're all stealing from them. You know how it is. Every dealer. You own a new car agency. Would you let a wholesaler in your place?
Not normally. No.
Okay.
Not normally.
Okay, but back then everybody was getting a little money under the table, this, that, whatever. Okay. So my relationship, I built a relationship. Can't remember. Okay, I was a kid that was kind of a muscular. I worked out with weights. I pull up in I'll give you an example. Joe Cotton Ford. I pull up in there, and first thing, these old timers that were running the joint, what are you doing? Steroids? Steroids. I never did a fucking drug in my life. What are you talking about, steroids? Well, they had fat bellies. They're smoking Lucky Strikes. I mean, I said,
it's the car business. Checker jackets, striped ties. Yeah, it's the car business.
Yeah. They had yellow fingers from smoking the cigarettes. Their mustaches were yellow. And I'm saying to myself, steroid. I never did a drug in my life. I was genetically lucky, with my body developed pretty good when I worked out. So then I got to, build a relationship with them,
Okay.
And that's how I started getting cars from them. That's just one incident. I could tell you another one, there's a million different. That's how I networked back then. You're talking in the 80s, late 80s, mid 80s to late 80s. And then before you know it, I built a bankroll and I start doing pretty decent for myself. But there's so much to talk about. I don't know if you got enough time to hear.
How many cars did you at your peak? How many were you doing a month?
Wholesale?
Yeah.
When before I got in trouble, when I got indicted in 2005, before that, from 98. Let me see. My max was 300 cars wholesale a month.
300 cars. One guy. You were one guy too, right?
I had 500. I had 5 Ford dealers that I made a deal, and Ray was one of them. Okay, that if you don't sell my car in 30 days, I'll buy it back for what you pay me, because I never gouged nobody. I was happy making $300, $500, $600 a car. Some guys want to make $2,000 a car, $3,000 a car. But excuse me, with the volume, figure it out. If I were making a nickel a car, okay, and I sold 300 cars, How much money did I give?
Big
Okay.
money. Big money. Yeah.
Okay. But, with the situation with that kid, look what happened. Could you do me? Can you cash a check? Or I need 30,000. I said, sure. What do you need? I go, what am I going to say no to a guy that was buying 100 cars a month from me?
Right.
I'll give him the money. And then back then he was making $330 a year.
Yeah.
Okay. And I did what he asked me to do. I'm coming back from Metro Milwaukee auction. I just bought him 25.
So we don't get too far out. So what happened was at one time Tony was selling a bunch of cars to a dealer, and that dealer he's a friend of both ours, and I love the guy, and he's paid his penalty, you paid yours. I think you're even friends now.
Yeah, we are. I mean, it's
somewhat.
Here.
But
you ended
anyhow,
up with the better end of the stick.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, he did. But at the same time, when he's talking about this, so the guy you're selling, I don't know, 30 cars a month?
Oh, I sold him more than that.
Even more than that.
In the
asked you to cash a check. He asked you to cash a check. You cash the check. Yeah, because he wants some cash. Not thinking anything of it, right? Just
here.
Or did you know something was up then?
Let me tell you it right so you don't get the wrong idea.
All right, cool. Yeah,
so
good. Please.
Remember, I had full reins of his used car lot. Okay, so the deal, like I said in the beginning, if I purchase a car, if you buy a car from me, you're a dealer. You buy a car from me because we had such a good relationship. If you don't sell a car in 30 days, I will buy it back from you. So you answer to the owner or whoever.
It's a no-lose situation. It's a no-lose situation.
Right. You got 30 days. But if it's 30
I bought cars from you. I bought a lot of cars from you. I remember. You would buy them back. Yeah.
Yeah. So that, to me, most used car wholesalers would never do what I did. Okay.
No.
Because you could get screwed up and lose a lot of money or whatever. Okay. But I took the chance because I felt I never gouged nobody per car. It was always minimal profit. Okay. But I wanted to do volume. Mm-hmm. Okay. So now down the road, when the situation come, I'll never forget. It was a Wednesday. I'm going southbound on 294. I just went and bought 25 or 26 cars for Ray. He calls me and asks me a favor, and I'm not going to say no to a guy that buys at any given time from 75 to 100 cars a month from me. Right. That's not common. I used to sell 300 cars. Okay,
right,
per month. So he goes, Tony, well, how much money you got in your account? I go, well, that's kind of a personal question to myself. I'm thinking, how much you got in your account? Evidently, you're going to ask me for money, but I answer his question. I says, I got plenty. What do you need? Because I had deposits that could keep going in your account. It's in and out. It's not my money. It's in and out.
Yeah.
So I said, well, why? What's wrong, Rick? What do you need? I need 30,000. I remember exact number, 30,000. So I don't ask no questions. He goes, could you give me 30,000? I said, yeah. All right, no problem. So I get off at Dempster. I go east end Dempster. I banked at Harris Bank. I go grab 30,000, put it in a brown paper bag, throw it in my briefcase, go into his office, give him the 30,000. He pays me for the 26 or 25 cars that I purchased for the dealership, my profit. And there's a check besides the 30,000 that I got for him, and the money that I sold him those cars. Okay, he paid me for my cars that I bought for the dealership, but and I didn't know this. There was another check for 30,000. So really, he didn't borrow nothing from me. But remind you, and anybody that's listening to this conversation, when you write a check out of your business account to yourself and you cash it, that's taxable income. Okay, so in other words, if I wrote a check for 30,000, there's probably about 7,500 that's got to go to the government. Unless I put it, if I write the check loan to Anthony Palermo, okay, it's a loan, and I put it back before the physical year is over, before you file your taxes, then I don't have to pay taxes on it. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
So now this is running through my head, and I'm thinking, oh shit, man, this guy's going to cost me $7,500, if you don't pay me, even though he did pay me the $30,000 because he gave me the checks for those cars and another separate check he put in the same envelope for $30,000. I'm thinking, how did this guy do this? Well, down the road, I don't say nothing. 2 weeks later, he needs $60,000. Week later, he needs $30,000. 60, 40, 80. Now I figured out what he's doing. I go, you're doing something, whatever. I go, listen, you're going to get me in trouble. I go, I'm a convicted felon. You're not. I go, and I'm going to get time if you're doing something what I think you're doing. You're stealing, Mm-hmm. No, it's a loan from the company. I go, you don't loan the fucking company. How is it? How can you loan yourself money? That doesn't even make any sense. But I don't say nothing. This is what's going through my head.
Well, again, this is an account you sell 100 cars a month to.
Right, right.
Yeah, this is a lot of money. So I get it.
You can't make this up. What I'm telling you.
I know.
So now as time goes by, I like the guy. I want to help him, but I don't want to go to prison because of him. You know what I mean? Right. So now, when the time comes, one day, the story's too long, so I'm going to shorten it up for you. One day, after many times of me doing this, loaning the money, pay me back, this, that, whatever, and I figured out how he did what he did, and the way he did it was because I got all the junks that came in to that dealership, and when they came in, he had a bill out sheet to bill me out those vehicles, and he had my sheets. What he was doing is going. How Ford Motor Credit sends you a fax of what cars are coming next week for the Ford Motor Credit sale?
Yeah.
Remember how they send you that?
Yeah, pre-sale list.
Yeah. So now he was getting the cars that were coming from the following week, putting them in my company, like I'm selling them to him because they had the miles, the color, and the VIN numbers on it, and that's how he was floating the dealer. So listen, I figured it out later when I got in trouble and whatever,
Yeah.
So now, as time goes by and all this happens, and I kept telling him, you're going to get me in trouble. I'm going to go to prison, this, that, whatever, No, if anything ever happens, I'll tell the truth. He did tell the truth to a point. Okay. You know what he took in 3 years? 2.957. Okay.
Wow.
And 3.5, 4, whatever it was. Okay. Now, how stupid was that company? Didn't figure it out sooner. Okay.
Yes. Exactly.
Okay. So, and how stupid I was for doing what I did. Okay. So now, as time went by, as they're negotiating with the attorneys, because it's a paper trail. You know who my attorney was? Mark Martin. Mark says, Tony, he goes, you're fucked. Just like that. I go, why? He goes, there's a paper trail. What you did is stupid. Mama. I said, shut the fuck up, Mark. I said, it's stupid. I says, do you know the whole story and how it happened? Then I told him the whole story. He says, it's still stupid. I said, okay, then I'm stupid. So as time goes by, the negotiations go on, the feds first right away. I'm doing 158 or 160 months. I go, 160 months. I says, I didn't kill nobody. I go, what did I do? I cashed checks for a fucking idiot, at the time. And I didn't get there. Listen, first of all, they thought I was organized crime too, because my last name ends with a vowel. This guy, that guy, and blah, blah, blah. I says, listen, did you ever hear of unorganized crime? I go, that's me. I said, you're calling me like I'm a gangster. Nucci, Lombardo, Rudy Frado, this one, that. I know those guys. Doesn't mean I'm a gangster. I says, I couldn't listen to my mother and father or work for somebody. Now, what makes you think I would be a gangster? They would have killed me a long time ago, Because I wouldn't. If they tell me I got to go kill somebody and I like the person, I'm not going to do it. Then they'll kill me, or whatever it is. So it was a no-win. It was just so stupid on my part. It was a no-win situation. Yeah, I made money through that company that I was dealing with. The kid that got me in that situation. Yeah. I made money, but all that I made and what it did to me and how many years it took of my life and tied me up, My whole life, because I violated on the federal probation. There was nothing. What no dollar amount could worth taking you away from your family and kids.
Yeah. Okay. How long did it end up? How long did you end up away?
I got indicted in 05. Less than a year I was in prison in 06. I got out March, was it 9th of 09. So I did like 44 months. I did a drug alcohol program. I didn't know nothing about drugs. I never did drugs. They were talking about Percocet, this, that, pill.
That's how you get out early.
It got me out because if you're 27 months short of your sentence, you get up to a year off. I got a DUI, so that's how I got allowed to get in the program. Okay, so excuse me. So at 27 months, if you get in the program, it's a 500-hour program, you get a whole year off. At 26 months, if your sentence is shortened to 27, you get 11 months off. At 25, you get 10 months. Well, I got on where it was I can only get 8 months off. So that just is a little tip of the iceberg, okay? That time I get out, I was dating a girl prior to this that her ex-husband was going to kill me, supposedly, this, that, whatever. Me and my sons are out to dinner. He caught a beating. Run into him, and he caught a beating. Me and my 2 boys and myself got arrested. So now that was a violation. I had to go back in the halfway house for 8 months. I'm 7 months into that sentence. I'm pulling down York Road right in front of York Theater. Backing into a parking spot. I was driving an E55. And, I'm watching the curb because I'm worried about the rims. There's 700 a rim, So I'm backing up. And the girl that I was dating at the time, she goes, Tony, watch it. A guy runs from the opposite side of the street, runs in between my car. I think he was a Mexican dude. He was big. He was like 6'4", 250, 260. He starts yelling at me. I roll the window down. Now, mind you, I'm on a violation. I got 7 months in. I got 1 more month and I'm done. They gave me weekend pass to go home and sleep with a woman instead of sleep with a bunch of queers.
You couldn't help yourself.
I couldn't help me. He spit at me, took a swing at me. I got out, I hit him once. I put him in intensive care for 10 days.
It used to crack me up because I've seen you one punch somebody. Your hand is so fucking tiny. Like your hand fits inside my hand almost. You got the tiniest fists I ever seen. And it's like it must be getting hit by a bullet. Because I've seen you one punch a guy. It's got to be like a bullet because you have a tiny hand. I never understood it.
And that's the gospel truth. And I'm going to tell you something. I used to train with a boxer, Mark Kosovich, and we used to go in gloves. I didn't get my parents wouldn't sign the consent paper for me to go in gloves. So the guy that trained me had 320 amateur fights. He turned pro. He lost his 3rd fight and quit. Okay. This guy had hands that were twice my size, and I said, "Man, I wish I had hands like you." Yeah. He goes, there's no truth to having a big hand to be a boxer to hit somebody. He goes, the density of a smaller hand is better than a big hand.
I believe it. I've seen it. I couldn't believe it.
And I never believed that until it made sense because you ever try? I punched a window on a guy, and I thought it broke my hand. In a fight on the street. I punched the side window, and it didn't break. But I punched another window in the same situation with a guy on the road, right? I had a ring on. And the only reason it broke is the density of the metal.
Sure.
So they say a smaller hand, and it makes sense because it's more dense. You target that area. And it just, you could hurt somebody if you got a good swing and you know how to snap a punch. And
you got to move up because you're completely dark right now.
Oh, all right.
You go.
Let me dim in the light. I'll turn it on.
Okay.
Light's yellow. I'll turn it on.
There you go. That'll work. That's good enough. It's all right. It's perfect. It's all right.
All right. Sorry.
That's all right. Most people are instead of
but all that I see it's yellow.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, we know you're not yellow.
Yeah, I'm not Chinese, right?
Yeah, you're not Asian. We know it.
No. But anyways, all that stuff that happened, and the best part, to get back to about what happened with that guy Ray when he was negotiating his deal with the government. You know what he told him? He said, Tony cashed all checks and gave me all the checks except for one of them for $228 or $225,000. That was enough to make me a part of his scheme. Okay, if he would have said that I didn't get any of it, they wouldn't have a case against me. Okay, so my attorney says that was enough to put you in prison, and the amount of prison time I did compared to him, he did 11 months, I did 44 months. 4 more months, that's 4 years of my life. But it went on because I fucked up, violated, and this, that, whatever.
Yeah.
Other situations.
Almost a decade between that bullshit. It's almost like a decade, almost 10 years.
No, it was all together. I did, 13 years was tied up in my life. 13 years.
So do you get the wholesale with any dealers anymore?
What?
We talk Johnny, once in a while, but I don't know.
The business is so different.
Yeah, I'm still in it, but I'm not on that side. I gotta be honest.
Wholesale, and honestly, unless these guys got somebody on the program or whatever it is, I think it's a thing in the past. And I'm not with the new regime. You gotta be one of those younger guys that was a salesman and he turned into a GM and whatever, and decided to go wholesale. It's all. It's really here. That program that you work.
Yeah.
You sell to dealers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That takes out guys like me, middleman. All I was is a middleman with contacts.
Well,
knowledge.
I see it even worse today because I'm leaving one group and starting another, and the new group asked me to help with acquisition of vehicles. And I've been on with Enterprise and Sixth, and man, it is so expensive and so hard that I can see where dealers aren't giving up anything, and if they are,
they won't. They don't give up.
They're turning everything into retail, or they're sending it all to the sale because they don't want to deal with wholesale.
They're doing money at the sale too.
Yeah, stupid money
at the sale.
Yeah, it's like even cars that are 150,000 mile cars. I was talking to a guy from Cox. He said they're bringing 110, 115% for junk.
Right.
Because these buy here, pay here's, they'll pay all the money because they'd like to have it run long enough to collect payments on them. So they got to bring it back in either by repo or it died, and then they fix it back up and send it back out. So the wholesale business that's why I had John. It's got to be such a thing in the past today.
It is.
I don't really know.
As far as I'm concerned, it is.
Yeah. I got to believe, though, there's probably only a handful left, that are truly still. And it's because of their connections to these stores that they're with. They've been with them so long that they keep them for that, right? They're just, It's all relationship driven.
Yeah, it is. And I don't know here. You're an owner. You own 3 dealerships under one roof, okay?
Right.
You know how you had to struggle to make it, click and make money in there.
Yeah.
You want to give up any money? You don't want to give up money. I don't care who's your friend or whatever, unless it's your brother or family member. It's different. But to a guy that I met in the car business or whatever, do you really want to give it up to him? I'm stupid like that. I would, because I like helping.
It put me out of business because I was too generous to a point where you saved me. Like my business was done, and I'll never forget. You gave me a title to a car,
56 Chevy black. 56 Chevy black with 46,000, black and white. I bought it. It was an Alabama vehicle. You know who I bought it from? Remember that Greek guy? What was his name?
I remember
George. He had big hands. I remember. Used to meet him at the auction. I bought it from him, and I paid $8,600 for it. And you said, Tony, I need this money. I said, do whatever you got to do, Johnny.
I remember. You told me sell it, pay the bills, and let's see you keep it running. I remember, and we did. That's what we did. And I think I went under about 6 months later or something. Wasn't that long? It was. I did it on a shoestring too back then.
Yeah. You
it was
did
really
short
hard.
money.
Yeah,
It's hard to do
you
it.
can't do it. You can't
This
do it.
business here. You know what? Here, you know what everybody's doing in Addison that you could never have a Addison, Illinois. You couldn't have there was no retail dealerships over there. Now everybody's got warehouses and they're housing the vehicles. So you're out of the element, and then they're all doing it over the internet. And then some guys are making it, and most guys aren't making it. You know.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's more of a. It's more if they are. If they do have that closed-in used car business. It's either they're doing all bad credit and they're doing it through one bank or something, or they're wholesale and they got a relationship somewhere and they're getting those cars and rolling. But the car business, it's like a snowball going downhill with some of these things. The minute it stops for that store, all hell breaks loose.
I'm not crying about it or whatever, but be honest with you, I had a lot of fun in it. From like
me too.
from the mid '80s until I got in trouble with that Ray guy, you know. But at one point there was nothing. It was fun. It was so easy for me to make money. It was almost like I was a drug dealer, you know. There wasn't a day that went by that I didn't enjoy myself and meeting people and meet and greet and and I never screwed nobody, and no dealership got screwed. I could have screwed the auctions. I used to go on the auction, buy $500,000 worth of car, didn't have to pay them until next week. Okay, I could. Here, you got to remember, when I got indicted, I was running $44 million through my business account a year. When I was selling 250 to 300 cars a month. Okay, so I could have screwed them, and I didn't. And I could go to any auction. That one kid that you did business with, and I don't want to say no names or whatever, that Greek kid that got in trouble, he couldn't go into the auctions. You know that, even though he's working for that company that hired him, paid him $2-3 million with the contract and all that a year. He couldn't go to the auctions because Mannheim blackballed him. Okay, so he had to send somebody. Me or you could go to the auctions, even though we fucked up and we lost it or whatever. I don't know. Didn't you have a situation that at first you owed the auction money?
I did. At first I did, yeah. When I was going under, it was bad. So all I did was clear all the debts to where I had none. And that's why I'm able to go buy a car.
Yeah, but see, when I got in trouble,
I had to clear it all up. But when you owe them, they can stop all your business if you want. And even if you go work for a dealer, because like I went from that business, you're talking 1991 or 2001. How long ago was it? It's like 30 years, 25 years ago, at least.
Your place was on 25, wasn't it?
Well, there's two of them. The one at Calumet and Conkey, we were doing 200 cars a month, but all secondary. And then I opened up on 25 and I sold that one. So the one on 25, the biggest, I should have stayed there. But when they shot the guy next door to me, they killed him for a penny candy store. So we had to start closing at like 6, and it was really rough. And my wife every day would be saying, it's not a good name. You shouldn't be driving down here. But and I just said, you know what, I'm going to open a place up north. And that's what happens when I went up north.
That was in Dundee, wasn't it? Or
was it Dundee on 25? At 25 in the Kennedy. Almost.
What year was that? Do you remember?
Unincorporated. It's 25 years ago, Tom.
No, it was longer than 25 years ago.
Yeah, it's a long time.
No, because I got out in 95, almost 96. And I think you did it a couple years after that, maybe 98, 99.
I would say my kids were like 6, 7. That makes sense. But no, 88, I was already at River Oaks. So I think it's even before then. I think
97?
Tone, I don't honestly remember. I told you, my memory sucks. I don't remember when it was. I just know that I should have never done it.
Yeah.
Should have never done it because I went in undercapitalized. And that was the problem because back then, you sell a car today, you get paid almost instantaneously if you get paperwork right. Back then, most deals were secondary that I did, and you didn't get paid for like 2 weeks. So if you'd sold 5 cars a day, you'd have 30 cars in a week go out, but you wouldn't get paid on them for almost 2 weeks. So you had to have enough capital to go out and buy 30 more.
Right.
And if you didn't, you owed the auction, which if you owed the auction, forget about it, because between the chop to the bank and the interest on what the auction owed you, if you floored it, you couldn't make any money because it took too long to get paid. So if I did it today, I probably could succeed because I would sell 5 cars a day, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
The problem was getting paid. It would take so long.
If you don't get paid fast enough, then you're in trouble.
You're in trouble, yeah. So
if you don't have that sludge fund where you got that extra money, if say you didn't get paid on a deal, where you could throw it in the account so you don't bounce or whatever, you gotta have money.
I've never had to worry about it when I had the stores because I was a rock star citizen. I could do whatever I wanted money wise. They never questioned me. I don't know where your computer's showing there you go. So I never had to worry about having a slush fund or anything because the bank would do anything for me. I was solid citizen. So the only thing I'm grateful for is that I never lost anything besides the dealership. I didn't lose anything personally, and I got out of there with all my hair when I left. But yeah, it was. I would never do it again. I would never go in undercapitalized for anything again. But
Johnny, here, there was a part of me in this business that I thought to myself, I would have loved to own a new car agency. But as time went by, seeing what I seen, all the guys that I knew that what they went through, how they lost their place and whatever, am I so happy that I never did? I mean, I had 2.5 used car lots, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And did I do okay? You know what it is? My problem was I got bored with whatever I was doing. And sitting at a car dealership waiting for a customer to come in wasn't me. I like going meeting and greeting,
Yeah.
And,
It's different though. It's different though being a new car owner, used car owner. Today's world's completely different. I mean, I almost believe that the guys who owned stores 30 years ago, if they had to start over today, they wouldn't make it because it's a different animal. These guys today, the guy I'm going to work for, one of the smartest guys I've ever talked to, but he's a businessman. You have to be.
Is it out in the Midwest or is it out where you are?
Oh yeah, it's going to be in Illinois. I'm not ready to announce anything yet, but
no, I'm not.
But these guys you deal with today. I mean, I've been with Cox for 10 years. I got to meet a lot of owners, and you can tell an operator owner from an owner who's a lucky sperm. There's that guy who's just lucky that his family was around, and then the guys who started, like Tony was a self-made guy at River Oaks Toyota. He did everything on his own.
You were good friends with him. Is he still around?
I still talk to him. Yeah, he's still alive. He's down in Naples, Florida, but self-made guy.
How old is he? He's got to be in his 80s, no?
You know what? I think he is like 78.
Yeah.
He's like 13 years older than me, so I think he's 78.
Then you still have a relationship with him, then, huh?
I just talked to him about 2 weeks ago. I was supposed to talk to him. I know the date because he told me I'll call you February 8th because he was out of the country. But yeah, I still talk to him. Remember Jose and Rick O'Hearn, my friends from River Oaks. I'll talk to. They're going to come on the podcast one day and talk about times back at River Oaks.
All right, everybody. Thank you all for tuning in. We had a great show. Tune in next time. And again, follow us online. The website's up above. See you guys later.